Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, observed this coming Monday to celebrate the fact that Israel is back in control of Jerusalem. People say, what is that all about? Isn't Jerusalem always in the hands of Israel? From 1949 to 1967, a temporary 19-year period, Jews were not allowed in the old city of Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, speaking with full disclosure, I have a Catholic cousin, and in 1966, when he visited the old city, he sent me a postcard. I'm where you can't be. 4 years later, when I came to Israel, I sent him a postcard from the Western Wall in Jerusalem. I am where I can be. Now, what's this all about? Jerusalem is the factor that unites the Jewish people from all walks of life. It's also the day in which the army recaptured Jerusalem after losing it, as I mentioned before, in the 1948 war. And the Jordanians, who temporarily held on to Jerusalem, would not allow any Jew, even if he wasn't an Israeli, to walk into the old city, into East Jerusalem for that period of time. When Israel took back Jerusalem and liberated Jerusalem and put it into Jewish hands, not only did the citizens, the Arab and Jewish and Christian citizens, become full citizens, but Jerusalem began to expand, began to appear on the map again. There will be a march in Jerusalem, in the mid-city of Jerusalem, with all walks of life, celebrating the fact that Jerusalem has been placed in Jewish hands. In addition, parallel to this, there's two other kinds of Yom Yerushalayim being discussed. One is the march in Iran, which also calls this Jerusalem Day, Al-Quds Day, and in the UNRWA refugee camps, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency camps, who feel that they want to bring their refugees, people descended from the refugees in 1948, back to where they came from in 1948, which is very, very important. Now, these demonstrations that the Arabs and the Persians are holding will be violent. They've called for the young people to bring weapons and to march symbolically on Jerusalem. Now, this is very important to know, because there's a myth in the media that part of the peace process is that what the Arabs want is Arab East Jerusalem. Not at all. What the Arabs are fighting for is their right to go back to all of Jerusalem, take all of Jerusalem and put it in their hands. And throughout the Arab media and Arab education, which our agency, the Bedein Center for Near East Policy Research studies, we see the desire and the plan to take back the 15 Arab neighborhoods in Jerusalem, which became Jewish neighborhoods after 1967. So this should be understood in terms of what's going on. There's a context also in Jewish history of this day, with the 28th of Iyar, which marks Yom Yerushalayim, the day of Jerusalem. It's the day that Shmuel HaNavi, the prophet Samuel, died. And Samuel was the one in the Bible, in the book of Samuel, who united the Jewish people, united the kingship and in a sense, the religion of the Jews under one framework, one title, one rule, one master. And the concept of Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, was actually created in the 1600s, when the Ari HaKadosh, when the Isaac Luria declared this to be the day that Jews from all over the world would get together at Samuel's tomb, which overlooks Jerusalem, and there was a day that Jews around the world would give charity to Jerusalem. So the idea of a pilgrimage to Jerusalem on Jerusalem Day didn't begin in 1967, but rather in 1567. So this is not, if I said 1600s before, I meant the 1500s. But the point is that this is a historic day, marked even before the Israel army captured Jerusalem in 1967 in a very, very quick war, which has been amazing to people ever since. And what was the miracle of 1967? When all the Arab nations around the world once again surrounded Israel, speaking as someone who was then 16 and a half, the image of all the Arab armies and all Arab leaders screaming once again, the Jews into the sea, we will defeat them, we will wipe them out, and the fact that Israel was able to overcome such power in less than a week, that's something that can't be underestimated in terms of its miracle, in terms of which people appreciate what happened. It's not Arab East Jerusalem, it's Jerusalem, which the Arabs want, with which they were thwarted in their desire, And today, all of the newest school books coming out depict Jerusalem as something to be conquered, something to be taken back. And that is what features in the Palestinian Authority UNRWA textbooks. And this is not to be lost on people who follow what's going on. And essentially, the Palestinian Arab leadership is not pushing for a two-state solution, but for a two-stage solution. That should be understood. This is David Bedein reporting. Behind the Scene with David Bedein. Thank you.
Ever since March 30th, 2018, Hamas has been running terror attacks on the Gaza fence.
في هذا العام مخيمات راجع لبلادي بمشاركة ما يزيد عن 100,000 مشارك ومشاركة.
Yet the actions of Hamas match the ideology of UNRWA.
مش خايف، كل ما واحد بيموت شهيد ربنا بيعزه بالجنة.
Children of UNRWA have evolved into the cannon fodder of Hamas. In 2018, 68 nations donated more than $1 billion to UNRWA to sanctify the status of 5 million Palestinian refugees, most of whom are now third or fourth generation descendants from the original refugees from 1948.
هنرجع بلادنا وغصبا عن اليهود.
فاحنا بدنا نرجع. كيف بدك ترجع؟ بالقوة، بالسلاح، بصلاة الفجر، بوحدتنا، بدنا نرجع.
بالي الله والنبي يخلف على اللي اخترعهم واللي عملهم. والله تعلمنا انه ندافع على ارضنا وندافع على بلادنا، وكيف مثلا قتال وهجوم وكيف كل شيء.
لأنه إحنا بنروح هناك عشان ندافع على بلادنا، واليهود يعني يخافوا ويروحوا يعني نقتل اليهود.
نرجع بدنا بنيجي على السلك ومنطبش ومنكبر، وإن شاء الله عن قريب جدا إن شاء الله راح نرعبهم وراح ندعس عروسهم ونخش على اراضينا ان شاء الله مكبرين ومهللين ان شاء الله.
انا جاي هنا المخيمات اني استفيد كيف ارجع بلادي، كيف ارجع عرضي وشرفي، كيف ارجع للقدس.
هذه القدس للمسلمين وليست للكفار.
عشان احرر الاقصى من دنس الصهاينة.
ان شاء الله هذه المسيرات ستتمكن من ارجاع البلاد واشاله السلك الزلزال باذن الله تعالى.
This is not peace education. The terror campaign run by Hamas through violent demonstrations on the border is now seen by thousands of descendants of Arab refugees from 1948 as the terror return campaign.
إن شاء الله بنرجعها، هي الحقيقة حنرجعها في الآخر غصبا عن اليهود والصهاينة، وحنرجع أكيد يعني.
يلا امشوا